You know that wonderful feeling when you come home from work, to where they are waiting for you, to where you are always welcome. I had this feeling too, until recently. I always returned home to my beloved wife. We have been married for 2 years. For 2 years, I tried to have bread and butter at home and the opportunity to go on a couple of dates a month. My job, although not dusty, is responsible. Being an interpreter from English at negotiations is a serious matter. This results in frequent business trips, stress, constant trainings, and analysis of transcripts from negotiations and their memorization. In general, everything that I liked, but which sometimes disappointed. I rarely stayed after work to sit at the bar with my colleagues. Why should I be there when I was expected at home? When I was given the opportunity to constantly feel wanted and loved? That day, July 12th, I returned from work a little early. After all, it was our 3rd anniversary. I bought flowers, her favorite white roses. I took a box of her favorite Raffamello chocolates and, in a good mood, opened the door with the keys. The first thing that alerted me was the strange shoes. As far as I knew, Olga wasn't expecting anyone to visit. At least she didn't tell me about it. But then I heard sounds that no self-respecting man would want to hear when he returned home. These were moans. Loud, rich. I heard my beloved Olga. I heard someone else. You know, I never imagined betrayal on Olga's part. I always believed that she was happy in marriage with me. That I satisfied all her needs, both financial and love intimate. Well, apparently not all, since on a memorable date for both of us, she spat so hard in my face. I opened the door to our bedroom. It's interesting that I didn't want to swear, shout, punch people, or worse, start a bloody massacre. I was curious? Yes, I suppose so. I wonder who they traded me for. Overall, of the 3 options for who it could have been, this was the most unexpected. Olga cheated on me with our janitor, Evgeny. Do you know how I reacted? I laughed. No, really. Why are you looking at me so strangely? I really did laugh. I laughed like a horse in a stall, who suddenly found it funny because of the boredom in his life. I laughed even harder at the dumbfounded faces and Olga's attempts to justify herself. Oh, those hackneyed phrases. I'll explain everything to you. And you got it all wrong. Honestly, a special manual should be created for all cheaters, so that they have something to justify themselves with and so that it doesn't sound too humiliating and trite. By God, there would be fewer awkward situations. So, what was I talking about? Oh yeah, I calmed down a bit and told those 2 to go to hell. I unceremoniously took my backpack for business trips, threw all my things in there without looking, and then took the money I'd put aside for my summer vacation, and with the words, "Arrivederci, crazy empress. When I get back, we'll discuss the divorce." I left the apartment. I haven't traveled by train for a long time, just planes and planes. So I decided to go on a long journey to hell, to the middle of nowhere. What? I have every right. That is why I chose to take the train to the final destination. True, I don't know where exactly this final destination is, but I think I will find out soon. And don't look at me like that, my new friend. I chose this path just like that. My broken heart was heading straight for this. So I chose as best I could. What about work? What about work? I called the boss, explained the situation, that I was taking a week's vacation at my own expense, explained the reason. They let me go for good. They also told me to find a normal, woman among the villagers. It's still sad. What exactly? Everything that happened. On the other hand, I wouldn't be here now, with you, on this train. I didn't even bother to take something tasty for the road. Oh well, I'll buy something at the stations. Fortunately, the ride is still a long one. Well, that's my story. And what brings you here? Where are you going? Where are you heading? What are you looking for? I asked my seemingly stunned interlocutor. A man of 40 in a black tuxedo, top hat and glasses, thought for a long time about how to answer my question. About 5 minutes passed before he finally decided to give an answer. You see, I'm going to visit my grandma. The old woman lives alone, doesn't want to have anything to do with the internet or phones, but she's on first-name terms with letters, so to speak. So, you and I are, so to speak, on the same path. I'm going to get off at Oskolkovo. By the way, my name is Edward. And yours? Artur, with the stress on the last syllable. For friends, I'm Archie. I dare say that you and I have rather rare names. It's as if fate decided to introduce us. Or evil fate, muttered my compartment neighbor. What? I asked. Of course I heard what he said, but it sounded so out of place and somehow ominous that I decided to clarify anyway. Don't pay attention. Sometimes I talk nonsense. My interlocutor backed down. Ah, so that's it. You know, I sometimes like to talk to myself, which was true, and I never lied. In this case, I tried to laugh it off because it was inspired by some very bad presentiment. Well, with your permission, Edward, I'll go out into the corridor. Edward didn't answer me. Instead, he nodded briefly, adjusted his glasses, and began to read some old book in Latin. I read the first word as necro, although I didn't understand its meaning. Well, he reads and reads. So what? Stepping out into the corridor, I closed the door behind me. Oh, how long it had been since I was on a train. I'd already forgotten about this atmosphere. There was another compartment next to ours, an open one. I looked in to say hello to our neighbors. Expecting to see some stern men, I was lucky enough to meet the eyes of two nice female students. They sat opposite each other. One had red hair, the other had the color of a raven's wing. Both were incredibly beautiful. Lady, I bowed, which caused the girls to laugh cheerfully. And I am here, next door, in the compartment to the right of yours. Forgive me for disturbing you. I came in to say hello to the neighbors, and it turns out that they are neighbors. Where are you going? Where are you heading? What is your name? By the way, mine is Artur, with the stress on the second syllable. My name is Alya and my friend Vika. We're going to Bryansk. We're having a school reunion there and we decided to see all our friends. Where are you headed, Artur? And by the way, don't stand in the doorway. Sit down. To be honest, I don't really know myself. I bought a ticket to the final stop. But where that final stop is, who the hell knows? Having said this, I sat down next to Alya. If I remember correctly, Vika began to speak with a slight lisp. The final stop is in the village of Oskolkovo. Well, here you go. And my sinister friend in a top hat and with a strange book is heading there. True, it's on our way, as he said. Funny. Oskolkovo, then. What an interesting name. It directly describes the state of my soul. What is your condition? Alya asked curiously. Her long hair, the color of fire, was mesmerizing. It was very unpleasant to part with my dearly beloved wife, girls. But don't worry about it. I don't want to be on your ears. Hey, what a pity. But I partly understand you. Vika, too, is left without a boyfriend. He found himself some hottie from among the first-year students, and then they broke up. She's sitting there worried, and I can't console her. Maybe you could at least try. Victoria, that's right. How long were you in the relationship? 2 months. And you in your marriage? A couple of days ago it was 3 years. I certainly don't want to devalue your feelings. I'll say something though. 2 months is not a long time. Don't give up on yourself, don't blame yourself, please. You are a wonderful, smart, cozy girl. Your happiness will definitely come your way. Vika seemed to blush at my words and nodded. She smiled slightly and began to look out the window. Well, girls, it was nice to meet you. Maybe we'll see each other again. If anything, drop by. Well, I'll drop by to see you too. You'll allow me, right? We will allow it, of course. We are always glad to see handsome and enviable men, Alya said coquettishly and smiled her as I noticed discouraging smile. I nodded and left their compartment, closing the door behind me. Nice girls. Kind. Cozy. Warm. Beautiful. Hey, if I were 5 years younger, I probably would have hit on them. But now, at 30 years old, what use would I be to them? While I was thinking, the train stopped. It was already getting on for the evening and a beautiful crimson sunset was visible on the horizon. Romance. According to the schedule on my phone, we'll be standing for 20 minutes. Well, it's a good idea to take a walk along the platform and maybe buy ourselves something tasty. With these thoughts, I entered the compartment, taking my wallet with me. Edward was asleep when I entered. He was clutching the book tightly to himself. Of course, I'm also quite a reader. But for a person to be so captivated by a book, they say correctly, to each his own. After getting off the train, I headed towards the first cart I came across. An old granny, a real dandelion, was sitting on a stool and dozing peacefully. Granny. Grandmother. What? Who? Where? She suddenly perked up. Damn you, son. This could even give you a heart attack. Can't you see that the old woman is sleeping? Quiet, Granny. Quiet. You are absolutely right. Please forgive me. It's just that I see that you are selling ice cream here. I want some too. Do you have any chocolate in cups? Ice cream, you say? Ice cream is sacred. My grandson loves it too. If he had free rein, he would eat a kilogram. I believe you, I said, smiling. So, in cups and chocolate then. There's Ivanovo ice cream, very tasty. Plombier for 30 rubles and chocolate for 60. We have a deal. I'll have 2 chocolates, please. No, let's have 2 chocolates and 2 ice creams. You are a glutton, of course, Grandma laughed. Well, fine. At least I'll buy some bread and candy today. And where are you heading, good fellow? To the final stop, Granny. I'm going to Oskolkovo. Grandma's mood instantly deteriorated. Her eyebrows thickened, her gaze narrowed, her smile changed to a warning grin. You shouldn't have started this, my good fellow, she said, putting the ice cream in a t-shirt-shaped bag. It's a godforsaken place. There are all sorts of rumors going around. So if it's doomed, why doesn't the state sort it out? I asked, alarmed. Our state has no idea that there are things beyond politics, medicine, and military affairs. A special force is needed here. What kind of one is this? Well, like this. To drive out spirits and not go crazy in the process. Do you get it? Not really, Granny. If you don't get it, then don't go to the station. The train goes there because the drivers have a sign. If you want to get back safe and sound, take whoever you need to this village, and then back along the route. No one has any questions about what or why. Random passengers rarely go there either. And not accidental? I lowered my voice. Somehow my inner bad feeling was getting stronger. Those who are not random will not let you know that they are. Just take the old woman's advice and don't go there. If you value your life, well, enjoy your meal. That was the end of our conversation. I grabbed a bag of ice cream and headed back to the train. It left in 5 minutes. On the one hand, I was scared as hell to listen to this old lady's instructions. On the other hand, I was curious. Well, what do I have to lose? No one is waiting for me at home anymore. Work is starting to get boring. And here I am, like suddenly creating an adventure for myself. Will anyone even notice me? Having reached the compartment, I looked in on the girls. Each one was sitting on the phone. Girls, would you like some ice cream? Ice cream? Do you want to treat us? You are a gentleman, Arta. I'll have some chocolate, please, Alya asked cheerfully. Me too, please, Vika echoed. It's not that I wanted to give away my chocolate ice cream, but the idea of making these 2 girls at least a little happy clearly pleased me. Otherwise, I can't explain my action of handing them both cups of chocolate ice cream. The girls thanked me heartily and began to happily gobble up the ice cream. I, just as pleased as they were, returned to my compartment to my mysterious friend. Surprisingly, he was still asleep. I unwrapped a cup of ice cream and began to look out the window, eating ice cream and observing what kind of fuss was going on around. A couple of minutes later, the train gave a few hoots and we moved off. Something devilish is happening in Oskolkovo then. I want to, but I don't want to. Of course, there's no other way to call it. The train moving woke up Edward. He yawned and then stared at me in confusion. Are you eating ice cream? That's it. What surprises you so much? I haven't eaten it for ages. Will you share? You're lucky, I'm generous. Before you, I gave 2 glasses to the girls in the next compartment, and now you, Mr. Edward, are asking for some. I'll be in your debt. Thank you. He thanked me when I handed him the remaining glass. Are the girls riding next to us at least pretty? Oh, you have no idea how much. As they say, you can't tell it in a fairy tale or describe it with a pen. Why don't you hit on one of them, or both? The young ones are too much for me. More precisely, I'm probably too old for them. You shouldn't talk about yourself like that, Arthur. At your age, it's best to communicate with girls a little younger than you. Of course, you can't expect marriage, but having a good time is always a good activity. You're right, Edward, you're right. Although we were having a rather polite conversation, I was very curious about what book he was reading. It is true what they say. Speech is platinum. Silence is gold. Edward, forgive me for butting in where it doesn't belong. But what book are you reading? A book? Oh, that. In Latin, it's called the Necronomicon. The word necro means dead, and nomicon means book. Put it all together and you get the Book of the Dead. What? Are you planning a worldwide zombie apocalypse? I tried to joke. What are you saying? What are you saying? There is no point in this. I like the world as it is. It is much more interesting to interact with the living than with the dead. Besides, these are not all the properties of the book. It also allows a person who knows it to take over other people's minds, to make them act in a way that they would not be able to act under the influence of high-quality moonshine. In general, there are many applications. What? Is it still possible to register on state services under someone else's name with its help? You're a wit, Arthur. My interlocutor laughed. No, the little book isn't capable of that yet. What is she capable of? I asked again, curious. Instead of answering, Edward put the book on the table and took off his hat. Underneath it was only a bald spot with a few gray hairs showing here and there. Which of the 2 girls next door did you like? Instead of a direct answer, he asked me a question. Alya, with red hair. So, with this book I can make it so that this girl will want to spend time with you next night. She will refuse you nothing. She will be obedient, kind, and sweet. Do you want to try this on yourself? I don't think so. Even if you're telling the truth, which I doubt. I don't want to expose this lady to such danger, I said, and finished my ice cream. Edward squinted behind his glasses. Although the compartment had become a little dark, I could still see his gaze focused on me. It didn't feel kind to me at all. Are you hinting that I'm lying? Well, let me prove you wrong. Don't even try to deny it. You've already hurt my pride, Arthur. So I wish you a good time. Forget your wife for a while. But I warn you, whatever Alya asks of you in return, you must not refuse her. Is that clear? What could she ask for? Money? To pay for her studies at university? No. It's all beyond the material. Just fulfill any request she makes. Don't dare deceive. Don't dare prevaricate. Do you understand everything, my friend? I see, I said, although I didn't feel confident at all. At that moment, Edward put his half-eaten ice cream cup on the table and opened a book. He flipped through several pages. then pointed his finger somewhere and began to read something in Latin. Although I knew English, I didn't understand the meaning of the words. First, the light in the compartment turned on, then it flickered, and then it turned off completely. It also seemed to me as if a woman's hand with very sharp nails touched my left cheek. When I touched my cheek, I saw a small spot of blood. Edward looked at everything that was happening and chuckled, only saying, "How fortunate." I still didn't understand what was happening, but I didn't trust my own eyes either. Having apologized, I quickly opened the compartment door and found Alya behind the door. She was swaying slightly, but then her gaze focused on me and she became more stable. "Arthur! I was just about to knock. You, I remember, invited me to visit. May I come in?" "Oh, Alechka, I don't know. Edward is here and he—" "I'm leaving now, young people. I'll go look for the dining car. The ticket says that there is definitely one here." With these words, Edward squeezed between us, grinning at me. I also saw that he took the book with him and began to quickly move away. "Well, since that's the case, come in, Alya." How sweet of you, Arthur. You are such a gallant man. You know, I've always liked older people. It's always more interesting with them and, how can I say it, hotter. Inside me, I felt my blood slowly boiling. Something seemed wrong in her behavior, but I couldn't quite figure out what it was. Alya herself was doing everything she could to get my attention. "It's a bit hot in here. I think I'll take off my blouse," which she did, leaving her in just her bra. I could feel with my whole skin how the atmosphere in the compartment had become tense from the sexual tension that was coming from this girl. Alya, in turn, sat me down next to her and jumped onto my lap. She grabbed my cheeks with her palms and kissed my lips passionately. At that moment, my brain completely switched off. "Before we continue, I want you, Arthur, to make a payment." "Oh, honey, I don't know what you're talking about. It's simple, mortal." She sharply addressed me as you. "You fulfill my request, and I fulfill all your deepest desires, refusing nothing, especially since the master won't be back anytime soon. What's the price?" I was breathless with excitement. "Oh, the smallest thing I've ever asked for, dear Arthur. All you have to do is tell me the name of that bitch who is still your wife." "Why do you need my wife's name?" I tried to get up, but Alya, although she looked like a fragile and short girl, was pressing me quite hard against the back of the compartment bed. "You see, I am quite a vengeful spirit, and I really like to enjoy killing traitors. And here you are, so upset, dejected. Surely you yourself were thinking about how to take revenge on her, right?" She was right, I thought. Many times I imagined what I could do to make Olga pay for what she had done, but I didn't want to take the sin on my soul. Not then. Not now. So I gathered all my courage into a single fist and said, "I won't tell you her name. Whatever you are, go away." You want to break the contract the owner made with me? How stupid and petty. But you only need to say one name, and then no one will suffer. Well, except your wife. I refuse. Then, Alya, or whatever possessed her, said, "Vika will die." This girl is such a slut. It's no wonder her relationships never lasted more than a week. She will die and haunt you in nightmares until you get exhausted and commit suicide like the last coward. What you? Before I could blink, Alya had disappeared from the compartment. Then a heart-rending scream came from the next compartment. I jumped up and opened the door and saw the most horrible picture. Vika's neck was twisted. Alya was lying next to her. The flight attendant came running to the scream and couldn't get a word out. He stood rooted to the spot. Then he went somewhere to his own compartment, dialed someone's number and called. 2 minutes later, the train security detail arrived. Alya began to come to her senses. She saw what had happened to her friend and screamed. It seemed that she herself did not even know what had actually happened. I began to blame myself for everything. What prevented me from telling the name of my wife? Spirit or not, but with black magic, I swear it was her. Jokes are bad. Both in films and in life, it turns out. The guards took Alya away somewhere, not letting me talk to her. The compartment was closed, sealed with red tape with white stripes. Then they began to disperse the crowd of onlookers, the gathered passengers. I also returned to my place, but I couldn't sit still. There were about 20 minutes to the next station. Before the investigation and questioning of witnesses began, I had time to find Edward. This bastard was definitely to blame for all of this. Taking my documents with me, I closed the door behind me and headed off to look for the dining car. If my memory served me right, it was supposed to be on the right side of the train. A few minutes later, I found the carriage in question. There were no visitors in it. Only Edward was sitting in the far corner, reading a book and drinking something from a porcelain cup. I didn't stand on ceremony with him and immediately grabbed him by the collar with both hands. The cup fell to the floor and broke. There was a sharp smell of coffee. She died. She died because of you. I don't understand what you're talking about, my dear Arthur. Edward smiled. I didn't kill anyone. No, you killed. Alya was possessed by some spirit or demon or infidel. She asked for payment, as you said, and then, let me guess, you didn't follow my advice. You broke the contract that I created especially for you, and the consequences came. I didn't answer. I felt guilty about everything that happened. I can see it in your eyes, Arthur. You understand and realize perfectly well that you are more to blame here than I am. But it was you who made this contract. Yes, I did. And you hurt my pride by slandering me with just one look. Over hundreds of years, believe me, I have learned to read people by their eyes. Besides, I gave you the opportunity to have a good time. But you screwed up here too. No wonder your wife did this to you. You are a real wimp. I couldn't hold back and hit the man. For the first time in my life, I hit someone. Edward rubbed his right cheek and chuckled. Oh, you're a real lion, Archie. Just when I got you really mad, you decided to fight back. Don't worry, I won't answer you. Your fate is far worse than it may seem now. After all, you always have to pay your bills, no matter who or what you do. Right? I didn't answer again and sat down on the chair, clenching my fists until my knuckles turned white. Hey, Arthur. And I so hoped that we would get along. God bless you. You won't lose your mind as long as the lost soul reminds you of itself. Here it is, by the way. I turned around and couldn't believe my eyes. Vika was standing in the carriage doorway, glaring at me with hatred. Edward, in turn, waved at her and called her over to us. Darling, how do you feel about the fact that this man was the cause of your death? I hate you, she screamed back. The sound of her voice was so loud that I had to cover my ears. See, Arthur, according to the terms of the contract, if you don't fulfill your end of the deal, the spirit not only kills the person close to the captured soul, but also makes sure that the dead person pursues his offender until he finds a way to get rid of the pursuer. Fun, huh? Let's see how long you can hold out. I couldn't speak. It was all too much. Too scary. Too sad. Too angry. I was angry at myself, at my tactlessness. I was angry at Edward, who turned out to be the worst travel companion for me. I was angry that I didn't know what to do next. Don't blame yourself, Arthur. You're not the first and you won't be the last. By the way, it's time for me to get off soon. The train is approaching the final stop. What do you mean to the final stop? It's still 2 days' journey to Oskolkovo, I exclaimed, not believing his words. On a normal train, yes. But this train, like all its passengers, belongs to me. Well, except for you, perhaps. Although you too will soon come crawling to me on your knees, begging me to rid you of nightmares in the form of this sweet but no longer warm girl. You see, I am not just the owner of a magic book. I am also a mediator. It was not by chance that you got on this train. And it was not by chance that I ended up next to you. And also by placing Victoria and Alina not far from us. You had an excellent opportunity not only to take revenge on Olga, but also to fulfill the desire of these two girls to find a worthy partner. Oh, these lustful and base human desires. To sum it up, everyone would have been in the black. Alas, alas, I saw potential in you as my student. Honestly, I don't know what would be better. For you to be my student or for you to suffer the consequences of your decision until a certain time. Unless, of course, you decide to commit suicide. But I've been chatting for too long. It's time. My grandmother has really been waiting for me. Well, Archer, good luck to you in your suffering. If you want to meet and make amends, cut off your little finger as payment, and with its blood write the following: Mors et fugacem persequitur virum, which translated into Russian means, death chases even the runner. Edward handed me a note with the words written on it. Then a whistle blew and the train began to slow down. My interlocutor put his hat on his head, letting Vika go, who disappeared. Then he opened the door from the vestibule and looking back said something as a farewell that I never wanted to hear. And one more thing, Archer. It just so happens that the train is endless and moves beyond human understanding, along its own roads, pursuing human destinies. Your fate has not yet been determined, but it is in your power to fix it. After that, he went out. I tried to follow him out, but the door wouldn't budge. Then I returned to my compartment and tried to talk to the flight attendant. As soon as I touched him, he fell down, revealing himself to be a mannequin. Then I tore the tapes off Alya and Vika's compartment, opened it, and was even more surprised. It was empty. Vika's corpse was gone, but there was another mannequin sitting there, this one with red hair and looking so much like Alya. Not understanding anything, thinking that I had simply fallen asleep on the train, it occurred to me to return to my compartment. It was empty there too. Only the half-eaten cup of plombier ice cream that Edward had once held in his hand was still in the same place where he had left it. The train ride promised to be memorable.